everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for this week's episode of When I Grew Up. On today's episode, I have a friend of mine. Her name is Cindy Hong, and I'm excited for her to join us today because she's a creative, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what she does. Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Thank you so much for sitting and chatting with me today. I know that you've probably had a long day, and you're probably tired. For those of you that don't know, I make my interviewees, sorry, meet me after my kids go to sleep. So
It's really late at night right now.
yeah, so it's late at night, so I'm super thankful. So Cindy, tell us what you do. Tell us why you're tired today.
Yes. I am an elementary school art teacher, and I teach kindergarten through fifth grade visual arts. So right now, roughly, I teach about 600 in-person students. We usually have total of 1,200 students at our school, but with COVID and the option to digitally and remotely learn, we have about 600 students at school, and I teach all of them. So it's an honor, and yes, I won't say the other word. It's an honor.
Oh man, yes. So that is why, you have every right to be exhausted right now, because for me, it's like, man, I have trouble wrangling my two kids all day long. I can't imagine 600 students all day long. So just real quick before I ask you more questions about what you do, I want to tell everybody, I've been wanting to have you on because I know that you're a creative and you're an artist. But I will say there's something that kind of pushed me to ask you. And I hope, is it okay if I share?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Cindy on her Instagram posted these videos of kind of like I want to say like a warm up to the day, maybe, or to the class. And basically she's just hyping up her students. And I don't know what grade it was that you posted.
It was kindergarten.
Kindergarten, yes. So they were really little.
Yeah.
And basically, like, she kind of does this cheer, and then they respond back with cheering. And I was just so moved by it and inspired because I'm like, yeah, that's what a classroom should look like, excited to learn. And even if they're not excited to learn about art, it's like, the mindset that you put them in and set them in for the next, I don't know, how long is your class?
45 minutes.
Next 45 minutes, it's like, hey, this is how we're going to start. And there's no question about it. Maybe, when this episode releases, maybe she'll let me post a little clip or something. But yeah, and it was just really inspirational for me. So Cindy, I thank you on behalf of every parent that has not thanked you. I thank you. I'm like, can you teach my kids how to do art? But yeah, can you tell me a little bit about why you decided to start your class day like that?
Yeah, so I actually, this is part of my insecurities, but God speaks through insecurities. But I was actually a really bad art teacher before. This is my 5th year teaching. And all the past 4 years, I was a very tired teacher. And I really was physically tired. And I think I let it show to my students. And I just realized over the years, like, how much that has impacted my classroom and the environment, the climate, and just my students' emotional being. And I think when COVID hit, I actually started to, for me before then, it was really a burden. The students were really a burden for me. Even though I loved what I was doing at times, it was really difficult. But once COVID hit and I started to really genuinely miss, and my heart started to like ache for these students. And we would have like little Zoom sessions here and there just to see each other's faces so that they know that they're not alone. But when we had those moments, I think over time, God has really reminded me how important it is to validate them as a person and as someone who has feelings and someone who has emotions. And I know some of these kids and the things that they're going through at home, it's incredibly difficult and heavy and burdensome for them, especially with the pandemic. And so for me, I actually learned those chants, and we call it art greetings. I've actually learned that from another mentor of mine, and I just was so inspired, just like you. And it just like lit up the students. And so I started doing it. I was very shy and skeptical at the beginning, but once I started doing it, it just like snapped like 180 degrees, changed everything, like our conversations. And they were able to like have this level of trust with me. Like, Miss Hong understands that like she's okay with me making a mistake, and that when I do, like I can fix it and I can become better, and just things like that. There's this level of trust, and that opened up so many doors of possibilities. So I really enjoyed it.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Thank you so much for your transparency. I
Mm,
really appreciate the honesty and that you were struggling in the beginning of your career. But I'm so thankful and glad to hear that you found solutions like to kind of um yeah, improve yourself and improve the environment that your kids are coming into every day. It's incredible. Oh man. I'm
yeah.
like, as you're talking, I like was getting the chills just listening because I feel like it's um one thing to like realize that maybe teaching is difficult, but
Mhm.
it's another thing to like do something about it.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
right? That's cool. Okay, so it was difficult in the beginning,
Hmm.
but why did you want to be an art teacher in the first place?
Um, so I think, well, I started my college with a drawing degree, and I never wanted to even explore the field of education or education alone. But my freshman year of college, I went on a mission trip to Honduras with a ministry called Wesley at UGA. And I remember when we went, there was one day where we were broken into smaller groups to like go and just invite the people in the neighborhood to come worship with us. And I remember in my little group, it was me and a friend on my team who was deaf, and he was born deaf. And so we had another friend who was a translator for him, and then another person who was translating us from English to Honduras and vice versa. So it was four of us, and then our director kind of gave us a choice, and it was like either choice A or choice B. And choice A was like we could reach out to maybe about 10 houses down under the mountain. But then there was choice B, was there's one house all the way at the top of the mountain. So it's either 10 or one. And we prayed about it, and we were all like, I think it's that one. And so we climbed the heck out of that mountain and got up there. Um, and we realized when we got there, it was very young single mom. She was maybe about 2 to 3 years older than me at that time, and she had twin girls. They were both born deaf, and we were like, wow, God knew, like. And so I was just encouraging my friend to just minister to them, because it's just such a struggle that they shared together in that way. And what was really interesting was like this woman was literally a current day Samaritan woman, where she was hated by the whole village, and she never came down the mountain because nobody would bless her, or nobody would, care to reach out to her. And so the two girls, they never smiled. The house was just dark, and she was depressed, and everybody was depressed. And we got to talking, and we were like, this is perfect. My friend will get to minister to the girls, but they had no knowledge of sign language. And so there was no communication between mom and the daughters either. And so I was like, dang, how do I share gospel to these girls? And so I started to pray, and I think in that moment it was so clear. It came so fast. And God was telling me to go out and start drawing out the gospel on the ground. And so I took the girls outside while my team members were ministering to the mom, and we were out in the lawn, just drawing. And I drew their mountain, I drew their house at the top, and how they couldn't come down, but there's this man Jesus. He carries a cross with love, and he came with to you, and he loves to be your friend, and he loves you. And I was just drawing out the picture, and we literally spread out the whole drawing, just kind of bouncing back and forth. And these girls like giggled. They were like LOLing. And mom has never heard their sound of laughter. And so she came sprinting out, and she hugged me, and she just thanked me, and she just sobbed on my shoulder. She told me that she's never heard of her daughter smile like that and laugh like that. And for me in that moment, I knew there was a power in art to minister to children, especially the message of gospel. And so for me, I think in that moment, I knew that I wanted to work with kids. I wanted to work with art. And so that's when I started to look into the program. Yeah,
That's incredible.
I know.
For people that can't see my face right now, I am like weeping. I
Uh,
just think, wow, that's like what a testament
mhm,
to God using people's gifts and talents for the advancement of his kingdom.
mhm,
And I pray that for my own children and my own children's ministry, but like to
mhm.
see it and hear it um come to life. And yeah, it's like that was the Holy Spirit for sure, and that was
For
God for
sure. Yeah.
sure. Because like, I mean, what are the chances that
Seriously.
your team was made up of one person that was born deaf, and then
Uh-huh.
you guys decided to go up there? I mean, that's crazy,
Yeah.
but so good. That's such a great
Mhm.
testimony. Wow. Okay. So you
Yeah.
decide, right? Okay,
Yeah.
what I want to do. But so that means you're majoring in drawing,
Mhm.
and you've added this major of art education,
Yes.
or
So I think so I finished the mission trip was the end of freshman year, like during spring break.
oh, what a
And
blessing
so
that is too, because
I
it's
know,
like
right? It was
early
early
on.
on. Yeah. But I so sophomore year was just all about like continuing drawing major, but then just kind of researching and like, is it possible? Do I want to do 5 years of college versus 4 years of college? And I was praying a lot, and I think there are moments of fear and doubt, just like, even in the track of drawing, like, would I be able to make money? Would I
Mm,
be able to make living out of just being a drawing major? There's
sure.
a lot of insecurity in that. And I almost wonder if like at that moment, like our education was kind of like my safe ground, like just landing spot, just to secure at least a job. But there are many thoughts and process like that went on to it, but finally decided to do it starting my junior year. So up until my sophomore year, it was just all drawing. But thankfully, the classes overlapped a lot. With art education, you have to take every different types of art classes,
Okay.
all the intro levels.
Mm.
So I would have to do like printmaking, ceramics, jewelry, bookmaking, paper making, all these other different kinds, just so I'm exposed to, teach my students later. But with drawing, I was only taking drawing courses. So it was a very exciting year for me because I got to try a lot of new things that I haven't done.
Okay, so exciting, like as in
Hmm.
good, or exciting as in
Yeah.
like, okay, okay.
Yeah. Exciting as in good because I actually really love those courses. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
I'm curious, Cindy, to know like, well, first, when did you decide to be a drawing major? Like go into art? At what point
Yeah.
in your life did you decide that was the path you wanted to take?
Hmm. So I actually hated art when I
Oh,
was growing
okay.
up. I think because I grew up in Korea. I spent my entire elementary school days in Korea, and I actually wanted to be a singer. I loved like dancing and singing in front of crowds. I don't know why. Like right now, I would never want to go anywhere near there. But I think with that, I was just very extroverted. So even at my school, like I would form like girl groups with my friends, and we
So
would just
so
perform
cute.
when we go to like trips and stuff. It was so funny. But then I moved to United States after finishing my sixth grade there. In Korea, you do elementary up until sixth grade.
Mhm.
And so once I finished, I came over here, and the language barrier has completely destroyed my confidence in myself.
Mm.
And I just kind of shut down as a person. I became kind of quiet, and but then later I became extroverted again, so it's all good. But at that moment, the only thing that saved me was art, because it is something that I didn't need to worry about in terms of the language barrier. So when I go to school, like I would hate going to math class and all these other classes, but when I have art, I would just light up. And so my thankfully, like God sent, like my middle school and high school art teachers were amazing. They were like my mom because my parents lived in Korea the whole time. I lived away from my parents. I was very um, in need of my mom's presence during that age, but my art teachers were like that. And so I was really blessed to have them as my teachers, and they really spoke so much truth into me, and just so believed in me. And so I started to really love art, and I did everything. I drenched myself with art in middle school and high school, which led me to I went to governance honors program during high school with visual arts. And then that was my junior year of high school. And then my senior year, I got an opportunity to paint an album cover for Matt Redman and his 10,000 Reasons album. I painted
No
that.
way.
Yes. And just, opportunities like that just came. I knew it was from God, and it was just these reminders of the fact that God didn't just give me this talent for no reason. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I think by the time I was done with high school, I was like, what else can I do now? And so I just put myself right on the track. And thankfully, my parents were very supportive. I
Mm.
know a lot of Korean students are really struggling, those creative Korean students, because their parents will want them to be doctors and all the other things, but art. So I'm very blessed.
Why do you think your parents were supportive? I'm sure your parents are just great
Yeah.
parents, but did they have
Yeah.
a reason, or were they just like they
I'm
just
not
trusted
sure.
you, or
I'm not sure. Maybe because I was a really bad student. Like
like
studying was just,
academically, you
yes,
mean?
yes,
Okay.
academically. I was
Okay.
just like, that is just not
Right,
where
right,
I'm
right.
gifted in.
I
And
mean,
I think,
I mean, it sounds like your parents just knew that about
yeah,
you and knew that
right.
this was something that
Hmm.
this is where they needed to like support
Right. Yeah. And
art.
also like my older brother, he is, studying to be a doctor right now. And so I
Oh,
think
okay.
my parents just like kind of trusted my brother with the studies. And I'm just
No.
over here like, living my dream. Yeah. So
That's
all
so
thanks to my
funny.
brother.
That's so funny though.
Yeah.
Man, so wait, I'm so curious. Like,
Yeah.
how did that opportunity come up to do Matt Redman's album cover?
Yes. So, during that time, you might know my cousin, Esther Hong.
So yeah, so Esther actually was the wedding planner for our wedding.
Oh, yeah. I think I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually we go even further back than that.
Like
Like,
UGA, right?
no, actually, so my mom used to own a wedding boutique here in Marietta.
Uh-huh.
And then when Esther's brother got married, my mom actually did like like some of the arrangements for that wedding, like the
Wow.
wedding gown and the tuxedo rental and stuff like that. And it was just,
Oh.
I think my mom and Esther hit it off really well.
Uh-huh.
Because my mom's like 1.5. So
Oh,
like, yes.
gotcha.
Oh, meaning like my parents immigrated here when they're in middle school. But, and so like she speaks English well. And so I think they just really hit it off. And I can see
Yeah.
personality wise. But anyways, I was really little then. And so because of that connection is why she like helped me out with our wedding. And it was
That's
like
awesome.
without her, it would have not been good. Like I'm sure you know. You already know.
Yes, she
But
is talented.
so Esther got you that
Yeah.
connection.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool.
Yes. Thank you.
Man,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Okay, so sorry, I'm getting lost in my own
It's
conversation
all
right
right.
now. But anyways, okay, so you decided to do drawing. Okay, I know what I was going to ask. I wanted to know, so before you decided on art education as a double major,
Mhm.
um, like what is a career like as just an artist, like in drawing? Like, was there some sort of vision or goal for you before art education? Or do you get what I'm
So,
asking you?
yeah, right,
Okay.
right. Um, I think I was very lost at that point. And so me adding on art education was, I think, probably 50% out of insecurity and just
I
being
see.
lost.
Okay.
I really did not know what was out there. I knew just of like big name people, artists that are, you know, just creating and making living out of it. But for me, I think at that time, I just didn't believe in myself enough to be able to that, um, creating something that I would love, but also people would love. I think there was just too much pressure. Like,
Mhm.
I wanted to create something that I love,
Mhm.
but just that fear of what if nobody loves what I love? And the vice versa as well. What if I create only things people love, but I don't really enjoy that? And what kind of living would that be? So for me, it was a lot of like just learning from my friends that were in the field. We would a lot of times talk about that. And right now I have a lot of friends that were in my same class that are living out as full-time artists, and just um, seeing them now like makes me jealous sometimes, because I'm so burnt out like teaching little kids to create that I don't have time to create when I come home. I'm just like, I just want to go take a nap or something. Um, but yeah, I think that career path was very foggy and
Mhm.
hazy.
Well, I just want to affirm you because it seems as though, your trip to Honduras confirmed a lot of your heart for your future.
Yeah.
So I know it's difficult. I can't even wrap my head around it, but I feel like you're probably doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it. You don't need to be jealous.
Thank you.
Um, but so take me to like a typical day for you as an art teacher. What does it
Yes.
look like?
So I get to my school at 7:30 a.m. every day, and then usually I would do like a quick like prayer walk in my room, um, if I have enough time. And then I would do a morning car rider duty starting 7:45, and 7:45 to 8:15 for like 30 minutes. I would just open car doors, greet students in, and after that, I would teach three 45-minute classes with 15 minutes in between. And those 15 minutes are spent cleaning, sanitizing, breaking down, setting up. And so it flies by so fast. And I would have lunch in between for like 5 to 10 minutes. And um, I would do the same thing, three 45-minute classes with 15 minutes in between, cleaning, sanitizing. And then at the very end of the day, during dismissal would be my planning time. And that's when I work on um, digital learning students because I teach both in person and digital. A lot of other teachers, like a lot of different schools, they do it all differently. Our school, the way we do it is we do it asynchronous, which means we like record and then we just give them our recorded lessons. Um, and so during that planning time, I would either record or plan a lesson or edit a video, um, or prep for my in-person students and grade digital students' work. So it time flies by really fast once I'm there. Yeah.
Wow. So, for the digital learners,
Hmm.
are they responsible for like getting their own materials? I guess I don't really know what you guys do, but
Right. So
yeah, how
I
does that work?
try I try my best to like make the lessons really simple for them to be able to create. So I would try to keep it under like crayons, markers, things that they have. I would sometimes give an option for paint, just to kind of, for my students who actually love art and have everything that they have that they need at home. But some students really, it's even hard for them to find what to eat next. And
Hmm.
so for them to have crayons and markers, I don't expect that at all. And um, so it's different for each student, but yeah, I try to minimalize the whole lesson.
That must be so challenging.
Yeah,
Just okay, so what about like an art class? What does an art class look like at your school?
like visually or
Um, no, like so you said that you would plan
right.
for the next day or something, but what does the plan consist of? Like, is it usually like drawing or I guess it depends
Oh
on the
yeah,
grade
right.
level.
So yeah, so right now we do like a weekly rotation.
Uh-huh.
So I would see one class for that whole week, and then I would see a different class for that whole week, which is new this year. We used to see one class every 8 days. So I would do class A, class B, class C for 8 days and then
Mhm.
start over class A. But this year we're doing the weekly rotation, which has worked a lot better because they're able to build on top of the things that they learned the day before. And so yeah, like you said, with grades, it's all different. But right now, we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, which has been awesome. And so we've been getting to learn a lot about different Hispanic artists and just how much they influence the art world. And so students have been creating things that are inspired from their styles, or the artist styles, um, to just kind of, yeah, express themselves through that. I plan a lot of my lessons around like seasons and yeah, like national holidays and things like that. And I try to make that my general theme and then kind of find artists and find standards to kind of fit under those things. And so a lot of times with one project, there would be like 6 to 7 standards that I could teach, which is really good because they get a lot out of one project. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. I
Hmm.
feel like that would be the best part of for me, I think so I really okay, I really am not a good artist. I don't I really suck. I'm just gonna say it. I like can't draw worth anything. My husband David, he's really good at drawing. Um, his whole family, like I think his mom is enjoys art, so she was really good about kind of
Oh.
teaching that at home.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I just never enjoyed it, but I do remember having an art teacher that it was different, right? Like my elementary school teacher was different than my middle school teacher.
Hmm.
And I remember enjoying elementary school a lot more than middle school. I think just the way she taught, and you can tell when they love what they do. So
Yeah, for real.
I feel like it's really cool that you surround your plans around certain holidays, like Hispanic Heritage Month. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
really cool. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Um, so when you're not teaching art, you said that you don't really have time to be creative on your own. But I actually wanted to ask you a little bit more about when you did have more time to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's where you probably thrived. And
Yeah.
I remember just around the time you were graduating college, you had kind of a final showcase or
Yes.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go into more detail about what that's like as an art student?
Yes. That was one of the most stretching seasons of my life.
Really?
Yeah, it was so scary and daunting because I think so. Each of us, as a senior class, we would get exit show, like that's like a course, like an exit show course. And so we will all be given a small, tiny room studio that's a school facility, and we have access to it 24/7. And we just create like a madman, like a body of work that is cohesive and that expresses everything that we have worked on. And for me, I was so lost. I didn't know where to begin. I remember spending hours just like asking God, like, God, what is it? Like, what is it? And I just was so lost, and I felt like there wasn't anything clear. And then, leading up to that, I was struggling, but then there's one moment right around that time I visited Korea, and during my visit there, I was passing by like the I don't know how to call it in English. It was like Sicheong, like one of the main like Seoul like
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
government area.
uh-huh.
Um, and in front of that, there was a Japanese building there located in Korea. And I remember that was my first time seeing comfort women. There are these grandma now that have been kidnapped when they were in their teenage years into sex trafficking during um, the Japanese,
Japanese.
what do you call that? Imperial something, like during the war. They were used as comfort for the
Okay.
men in
Yes.
at war. And I'm so bad that I forgot all of that.
No,
But
no.
yeah, I saw them protesting, like these old grandmas on their wheelchairs, and bunch of like young people that were surrounding them, just kind of shouting out. And I've never heard of their story before, and that just and I came back to States, and I was like, that was just so lingering in my head and my heart, and I was so uncomfortable and like so frustrated and angered by all of that. And I chose to sort of like wrap around that theme for my exit show. And then so I started researching,
Mm.
and I was so devastated during the researching process because I could not believe what I was finding out,
Mm.
like that these women have gone through.
Mm.
Um,
Could you give us an example?
yeah, so they would be um, kind of lied to, asked to work for like a factory or something. And during that time, a lot of Korean people were very poor.
Mm.
And so these girls were asked to come to a factory and make money, and they would be able to send money back to their family in Korea. And so girls were like, yes, anything for my family. And so they would go just to find out all these things. And a lot of individual stories of different grandmas. And one of them, I remember, like, she it was like an animation documentary that someone has made of her story,
Mhm.
and like she realized she got there. Um, she served 50 men a day, um, unconscious many times, drugged many times, stabbed many times, um, hit, punched, if she wouldn't obey. Um, it was just, she was treated like worse than a toy.
Mm.
Um, and it's not just her story, it's so many others. And it's not just even Korean um, women, but like there are Vietnamese women, Chinese women that were taken as well, to comfort these Japanese soldiers. And so there's so many of them that have gone through so much pain and suffering, and a lot. And she was telling me that one particular woman, lady, she was telling the story about how she would see every day her friends committing suicide.
Mm.
And so she would, like, she saved up all of her like sleeping pills, and then she was trying to take it all at once and die. And like during that process, someone has rescued her, and so she couldn't kill herself. Like she just didn't even have freedom to do anything, like even killing herself, just to get
Mm.
rid of this pain and things like that. And for them to live until now, most of them could not get married because of shame in the community. And so they don't have family. A lot of them live by themselves or the facility of Comfort Women. Now they have a facility. Um, and their family have disowned them because of shame. Like,
Mm.
yeah, it's been just such a heartbreaking thing. And so I think the more I researched, the more I was lost. Because
Mm.
how do I dare to even draw this? Like, how do I dare to even, like, who am I to,
Mm.
like, how can I even embody their pain? I don't even know a glimpse of anything that they've gone through. So I felt so humbled, yet so lost. Um, and so there was a lot of time where I would paint something on my canvas and I would paint it completely white, paint something on top of it again, and completely white. And I did that like over and over again because like I just couldn't come up with the right image.
Mm.
But then at the end, what I did come up with, it was just a very simple black and white image. And I did 3 artworks of drawings and 3 paintings and 3 installations. And so the drawings were pictures of an empty chair. The empty chair, the chair was a symbolism for the Comfort Woman. And there is like a statue of 2 chairs. One has a little girl sitting in it. The other one is empty. That symbolizes all the women who have passed away and not here with us, and all the little girls that are still alive, just fighting for their apologies and just their right. And so my drawings were 3 empty chairs, and they're all different types of chairs, and they all had different looks, which symbolize these women are unique. None of them are the same, and they have their own story. God created them uniquely,
Mm.
and the chair was empty. But in front of the chair, I did a Korean calligraphy of their story, but in the point of view from they themselves telling it. And so, like, a lot of times these, like, grandmas would have accent, like, and so I would literally write out the accent, in Korean. And, it just, for me, when I created that, I felt like they were still here,
Mm.
that they were still telling their stories and their stories were worth being told. Those were my drawings, and then my paintings, it was these, um, I had these like black organic forms, which symbolize, the tombstones of the Japanese soldiers. And on top of that, I drew 3 elements that these comfort women carried. They didn't have a lot of things that belonged to them. So only thing was one or two outfits, which they would change every other day or something like that. And then their hair pin, I guess, and their shoes. So they didn't really have a lot of things that were theirs. And so I did three different elements which symbolize them on top of those organic forms, which symbolize their victory and triumph over them, and the defeat of, every evil that they meant to do on these women. And then the three installations were actual combination of the two of the chairs and of these elements. So I put three chairs that were all different, painted and sanded, and then I put the three elements on top, and it was just kind of a physical representation that they're still here. Their stories are still here. That I'm here to tell their stories and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so you were in a stuck place on how to
Mm-hmm.
move forward in this scene. What did you call it? What was the course called again?
Exit show.
The exit show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But somehow you got this inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sounds like such an incredible show. I like really wish I had witnessed it myself because man, these stories that probably will never get told in the medium that you shared it is so
Mm-hmm.
special. Were and like some of the people that you interviewed, like were they able to see some of the artwork?
Um, no, because like the way I researched was by reading articles and watching videos. So I never got to actually meet with the comfort woman,
Okay,
but
okay.
then actually later down the road I did.
Oh,
So yeah.
wow. Man, that is crazy. So, I mean, is it something that you felt at the end of it, even though you were you had to keep starting over and over again, which I feel like is probably not uncommon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In art.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Um, like, were you satisfied
I
with the
was
final?
really satisfied.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
I
good.
think I was overly.
Oh,
I think
wow.
especially during like on the day of the show opening,
Mhm.
I had so many people just sob in front of, cause I had the artwork set up and next to the installation, I framed each of the women's story with their names on it, and people were standing in front of that reading it and just could not believe, like literally how I felt. Like I
Mhm.
could not believe this actually happened in real life
Yeah.
and I didn't know about it,
Mhm.
and that I didn't get to do anything about it. And so a lot of people, I think, walked away feeling very convicted to do something about sex
Mhm.
trafficking in general, because it's
Mhm.
even happening in our own neighborhood too.
Yes.
So
How
yeah.
amazing.
Hmm.
So cool. I know I keep jumping around in our
That's okay.
conversation, but um, so as an art teacher,
Hmm.
do you find it important to teach your students like how art can be like transformative or even just useful and powerful? Is that
Yeah.
something you value in your teaching or?
Yes. So I actually got to do a second round of my Comfort Woman show during my time of teaching. I
Mhm.
think it was 2 years ago. It was my first solo exhibition I've ever done. And it was all of my pieces from my college. And then added to that, I did another series of Comfort Woman. And I know that the topic wasn't appropriate for my students, but I still invited them. And I reached out to all the parents and I said, hey, I'm doing a show, and let me just warn you, there's nothing graphic about, because it was all very abstract pieces and very prayerful pieces, but that these stories carry a lot of, disturbing content. And if you like, it would mean the world to me if you would bring your children to just see what artists look like and to just be inspired. And so on my opening show, my solo show, I had a lot of my students come with their parents, and they were just like, wait, why is Miss Hong outside her classroom?
Right.
Like why does she not live at school? Like they were just so lost. But also very like speechless. I saw a lot of them just like not being able to say anything. They were just eyes were wide open. And for me, I think it was that moment that helped me understand that my job isn't to just teach skills, but like to teach skills enough that I would build confidence in them, that they could use that to do something about it, to do and accomplish something that they want. And it doesn't even have to be sharing someone's story. It could be sharing their stories, whatever it is. And so I think since that moment, I've been doing a lot of projects that required their thinking. And I think before then, I did a lot of skill teaching. Like I do, you do. Whatever I do, you copy. Practice these skills. But now I do more of creative, like just drawing out those things and those ideas from the students. I do a lot of exercises. I would do like, I would give them boxes in the paper, and I would draw like few lines in each of the boxes, and they would have to come up with the story, finish the drawing themselves, come up with the story, and like, what is this telling me? Like, don't tell me with words, tell me with your art. And just even things like that, just to get them exercising on using what they have as skill sets, and using that to be a voice.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. You
Yeah.
are the best teacher. I'm like, send my kid there. That is so cool. I think, I mean, no, you are amazing, but even more so, like, again, because I'm just so weak in those areas, I'm like so just amazed by your heart. And yeah, but I'm a creative too. You know, I believe
Yeah,
in
you
art,
are.
and I believe that it can truly just change lives. So, but yeah, everything you're saying, I'm just like, yes, like this is amazing. We need more
Yes.
teachers like Cindy Hong in education.
Yeah.
So Cindy, what is like something you love about your job? We kind of heard a little bit of the struggles of the long
Yeah.
days and stuff, but
hmm
what do you love most?
Um, this is silly, but time to time I get proposed by kindergartners, which
Oh,
is literally the best. And
oh
like,
my goodness.
they would come up with drawings of like a wedding day with them and me, and it's just the cutest
Oh
thing.
my
Like,
gosh.
and some kids come with like, they would like make 3D flowers with like crumbled paper. They would just give it to me, and it's just the cutest thing. And I get that a lot, so that makes my day.
Yeah,
And
that makes it
yeah,
worth it to me. Man,
yes, it's the best. And
super cute.
yeah, and I think like when kids pass by in the hallway, and I don't know,
Oh,
favorite.
wait, Cindy, sorry, your voice cut out. Could you
Oh,
just say
sorry.
you said
Yes.
no, it's okay. You said let me go back. You said when kids pass by, and then that's when it cut out.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So when kids pass by the hallway, they would tell me how art is their favorite specials, and that they can't wait to come to my room, and even just things like that. It just makes me like want to keep doing what I do. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. How sweet is
I
that?
know.
Um, oh, have you always liked kids, like in general though?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. I did.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I guess it makes it a little easier if you kind of
Mhm.
always like children too.
Yeah.
Man, so cute.
Yes.
I like can't even believe that.
I
They
know,
must
right?
really love you.
Yeah.
How could you not? But
I know, but
um
I'm one of the youngest teachers at my
oh,
school,
okay.
so
Like,
I
oh,
guess
she's
that
in
would
my
make
league.
sense.
I
Yeah,
can
like I could do her, I could handle.
That's so cute. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Adorable. I probably find it a little more adorable because I could see Eli doing stuff like that too, my son. Like, and
Yeah.
I'd be, yeah, I would not be surprised. But that's so cute. Man.
Yes.
Um, so Cindy, before we sign off together, I did
Mhm.
want to hear a little bit more about your kind of your side business
Yes, the
that
giving
you've
tree.
yeah, Giving Tree
Yes.
Design, right?
Yes.
So it recently started.
Yes.
Could you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So it started during the pandemic and in my boredom. That's where it started. I have been doing a lot of side like event coordinating things for the people just in my mutual friends. Um, but I think over time, people would just tell me like, Cindy, you should just start a business. Like, I would totally like hire you, like instead of just asking for your help. And so I was like, I'll think about it. But I was already busy with, teaching and
Sure.
serving at church, and it was already so handful. But pandemic really helped me to like quiet all that down, just to kind of even like start thinking about just different avenues that I want to explore. And I think definitely this school year has brought so much fear in terms of teaching, um, and it's probably not just me and a lot of other teachers too, and feeling like we are not heard,
Mm.
that we're not really seen as human, but we're just expected to be at work,
Mm.
not worrying about our families and things like that. And so I think all of that fear has kind of put me at a place where I have to come up with other options just to keep doors open, like, and just to kind of try out different waters. And Giving Tree was one of that. And it's something that I was already doing anyways. And so, I started, and the name itself is inspired by my mom. I always call my mom the giving tree, that she would just give herself until she has nothing. And
Mm.
every part of her, she would just sacrifice for me and my brother. And I remember just because I did a lot of like baby's first birthday, baby showers, a lot of baby things. And in all those moments, I would walk away so drained and so tired and feeling like I've given myself fully, but my heart just so full.
Mm.
And I love that about um, this job and this role, that I get to create these spaces and moments where these people can remember and just be in that moment, in a beautiful moment.
Mm.
So that's where kind of my heart was starting it. And right now I have few on the way, just events of baby's birthday and things like that. So
That's awesome. Are you having fun? So you're having fun doing it.
yes,
Walk
I'm having
away.
fun. Hmm.
That's so
Yeah.
great. So if anybody needs a first birthday planner or anything,
Yes.
right? Any event,
Hmm.
right?
Any event.
Reach out to Giving Tree. Is it Giving Tree Design?
Yes. Giving tree design. Yes. I'm like, I don't even know the name.
Okay, Giving Tree
Yes.
Design.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, please check Cindy out. If you've heard anything in this podcast, you know her heart and her heart for people, and I feel like you can't miss with Giving Tree Design. So that's awesome.
Thank you for the shout out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, shameless plugs all the way for when I um so we're coming to the end of our time together, Cindy. I
Hmm.
don't want to take up too much of your time. I
Yeah.
could actually talk to you all night, I feel like.
Yeah.
But before we end our time together, do you have any advice for somebody that is interested in going into art or um, art education, or just any advice at all that you might want to give anyone listening?
Yeah. I think art is a very vulnerable area where you have to put yourself onto an image and people get to see you basically on that image or whatever you create. And people critique it. And it's very daunting to know that you put yourself out there and other people get to say whatever they want about basically you. And I think for me, that has been such a wall that's gotten in my way as a creative and even as a teacher too. Just how would other people think about if I make this move, if I do this? But I think at the end of the day, um, God knows you and God has created you for you. And I think He knows what He's doing. And so even if you put anything out there and nobody accepts it, God accepts you. And I think that's enough confidence for you to build on for the next step and for the next step, for the next step. And I think eventually, even for me, I'm still in the process. I haven't arrived anywhere. And so I think we're all in it together. So yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something a lot of not just people interested in art need to hear. I
Mm-hmm.
think everybody needs to hear that,
Yeah.
including myself. And yeah, just where do you find your identity, especially during such a crazy time of our
For sure.
lives?
Yeah.
And I think even just being in quarantine, I'm going off on a tangent here, but just being more inundated with social media and our phones and like what the world is telling us about ourselves or the people that you follow,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But I love what you said. Yeah, knowing that God accepts whatever it is that you do should give you the
Mm-hmm.
enough or more than enough confidence that you need
Mm-hmm.
in the things that you're pursuing. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that, Cindy. It's really
Yeah.
good word and advice. Did I miss anything? Was there anything else you wanted to chat about?
I think that's it and more.
Great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions about art education or art school or just anything, I'm sure Cindy would be
Oh
happy
yeah.
to connect with you. And
Yes.
so please feel free to reach out to me through a direct message, or you could
Mm-hmm.
email us at podcastwigu@gmail.com, and I will connect you with Cindy right away.
Yay.
Thanks so much, girl. I really appreciate you today.
Thank you, Blair.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. Until next time.